Welcome to day 45 of the 75 Hard Challenge YouTube edition. And today I just wanted to talk about living abroad. So let's get right into it. To me, what it means to live abroad is like minimum, you stay there for a month, minimum. And you don't necessarily need to work or study there. Maybe you're just gonna spend like some sabbatical time, whatever you wanna call it, just some time away to live new experiences. I feel like a month is a good time frame for you to get accustomed and just get used to your environment and stuff. Therefore, you lived there, right? The most important thing to me is that it develops a skill called independence. And yes, I do believe that's a skill and not like a personality trait. Because when you grow up depending on so many people, you learn to be dependent. But living abroad forces you into figuring stuff out with no one, therefore being independent. Such a weird way of explaining this, but yes. Sure, let's go with that. I did that. If you've been following me for some time, you know that I've lived in England for 5 months. I was extremely privileged to have family that lives there. So I just stayed at their place for free. Thank you. And it was, not to be dramatic, life-changing. I went there and obviously, as you can tell, I know how to speak English. So that wasn't such a problem to me. But one of the key things is that you will be so used to the language and you will learn so much. You basically immerse yourself with no way out. You watch TV on that language, you listen to the radio on that language, you see people talking on the street in that language, you see, I don't know, people in the supermarket talking about sales in that language, you see products in that language, everything. So it is a great learning opportunity for languages if you don't really speak it, but that wasn't as much the case for me. Of course, I did learn a lot when I was there because I would speak to my family, especially my godfather, in English 100% of the time. He's British, so we would just speak in English. Ever since I started learning English, we haven't spoken in Portuguese since. So still, I learned a lot. But if you don't know the language, I mean, for example, me with French, I'm like intermediate French. I'm like B1 level. So if I go to France, I'm gonna struggle, but I am gonna learn a lot. I'm not gonna do that. That's not foreshadowing anything right now. I'm not gonna do that right now. Could do that though, one day. I would love that. Once you live abroad, you deal with so many unique situations. For example, at that time that the security alarm at my house was going off and I did not know the code and I couldn't call anyone because the power went out. I was so lost. I mean, to be honest, it was my fault. I'm the one that resisted into getting my own SIM card in England. I guess I was just avoiding problem and resolving, creating issues or whatever, but that was stupid. Don't do that. Or for example, when you get like cultural shocks, it's just so funny. I've met some people when I was in England. I've met British people and I've met Swedish people. I've met Mexican people. It was so fun. I love this so much. But you get into so much cultural shock. And this might sound a little bad, but I promise you it isn't. It's just interesting. For example, in the UK, there's a store called Go Outdoors, right? And this one day I was home alone. My godfather was expecting a package to arrive. I was sleeping when it arrived, so they just left me a note and they told me to pick up at, and then under it was like Go Outdoors at 5 o'clock. And I was like, oh, okay, I just have to wait for them to come back around, because that's what usually happens in Brazil. If they can't reach you when they come to your house, they'll come back later. So I thought that was gonna happen, but it didn't. It just went to that store. And then at 5 o'clock, I went outside and I was like, don't know. No one's coming. Weird. So I just called my godfather and he was like rolling in the ground. He was laughing so hard at my just like stupidity, I guess. It's not stupidity, but it was funny at the same time. But yeah, you see, I wasn't from England, so I didn't know there was a store called Go Outdoors, and English is my second language, so I was like, okay, I have to go outdoors. So stupid! If my godparents watch this video, I promise you they're laughing really hard right now because they to this day, they tease me about that day. I will never hear the end of it. But anyway, this is a good link into meeting new people. As I've said to you, I've met people from different countries while I was in England, and it was just so fun. And you just get to see so many different perspectives of the world. I guess I'm just getting too philosophical right now, but kind of like that. I mean, come on, it's fun to meet new people. I'm an introvert, but I like to meet new people. Weird, but yeah. Oh, and also, I can't not forget my friend from England. We met through Discord. I met her when I was there and I missed her so much. It's so fun meeting new people, and especially if you make like genuine friendships. Yeah. Oh, it's so worth it. But it sucks because you're probably going to be long distance after a while. Still worth it. And in a more, I guess, poetic way to say this is that when you live abroad, you see so much more of what the world has to offer. I feel like everyone needs to go abroad. I don't know if live, that depends so much on your situation, but at least travel abroad to any place. No particular one, just one you really want to visit. It's so weird to explain it, but once you see other parts of the world, you're like, wow, the world is so big. I don't know. I got this feeling when I landed in Madrid and I just had a layover over there. Still, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in Spain. Weird. There's a whole country here. And I'm going to another one that's like an hour and a half away. That's crazy for me coming from someone that lives in Brazil. Brazil is super huge. It's like the 5th largest country in the world after Russia, China, Canada, and the US, I believe. The fact that I could travel to another country in an hour and a half, bonkers, you know? I just got this realization, this awareness of like how big the world is and how many different places there are. Truly eye-opening. I don't know, it's so weird because you're like, obviously, duh. But I guess when you're in that situation, it's different. You feel different. Also, super random, but going to the supermarket in different countries is one of the best experiences I've ever had. I went to the supermarket in England, obviously, and in the US. Those are the 2 countries I've been ever in my life. Some more countries are coming up, but it's just so weird. So weird. I remember going to the supermarket in the US and I was like, everything is so big. Everything is so large. Everything is family size. It's crazy, but at the same time, so many delicious food. I mean, of course, very processed, very artificial foods, but you can't deny some of them are really good, you know? And when I was in England, for example, every produce, like every vegetable, every fruit that came in a package, everything had the Union Jack flag stamped on there. Like UK farmed, UK this, and produced, planted in the UK, made in the UK. Everything had the Union Jack flag. And I was like, okay, we get it. We get it. I regret not filming inside Tesco's just to have as a memory. Another great thing to do when you're living abroad is to just walk around, especially if you're going to Europe. Walking around and finding new stuff, finding new places. It was so nice. I mean, I went there in the winter, so it was a little cold. I didn't like walking around that much at first, but then once it transitioned into spring, I was like, okay, this is better, so I can walk around a little more. Last but not least, trying new foods. When you spend that much time in a different country, you have to kind of adapt your diet into that new country. For example, here in Brazil, we eat a lot of fruits. Fruits are very accessible and cheap. And then when I got to England, the fruits were like this. I'm sorry, England. Except for raspberries and blueberries and blackberries. Those were nice at all times. But yeah, anyway, trying new foods when you're abroad is so fun. I had beans on toast when I was in England. Didn't like it, but still I tried, you know. I know that it doesn't taste as yummy as some people say, because not even how it looks, because it doesn't look that appetizing. Baked beans on toast is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. Especially because here in Brazil, we eat a lot of rice and beans together. And eating beans with toast, what are you even doing? British food wasn't something that I really enjoyed because there's a lot of sausage, there's a lot of bacon, there's a lot of beans, and all those things I don't really like that much. But yeah, to finish off this video, because it's getting so long, it's like 20 minutes. Living in another country is something that if you have the opportunity to do, what are you waiting for? You know, you just learn so much about yourself. You learn so much about the world. You learn so much about other people and just so many little aspects of life. There's no better word to explain this other than eye-opening. I guess, is that 2 words? Or does the hyphen makes it one? I don't know. That's the best definition. Because the people that I've met that've never been to another country, I mean, nothing wrong with it, seriously. But it's just something that I've noticed in a couple people. When they haven't been to other countries, they're very like this. It's not their fault. It's all they know. I just learned so much living in another country. And I didn't even work there. I didn't even study there. I was taking my sabbatical 5 months, 5 months gap, you know, just living life, spending money that I had saved up. And it was the best time. I want to go back so bad to England, but visas and immigration. That's all I wanted to talk to you about today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't watched the previous days of this challenge, there's a playlist link below ready for you to binge. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!